The healing story of Anna, whose youth was eaten away by toxic passion for a narcissist. Anna came to me in a deplorable state. She was not having good thoughts. She was in total despair. Anna's story is simple and painful. She spent her youth trying to hold on to a man who ended up leaving her for someone else anyway. He turned out to be a classic narcissist and no education, no good income, no family, no friends, no hobbies. Everything in Anna's life was eaten up by the damned passion for this man. While others studied, built a career, started a family, she fought with his mistresses for his attention. The girl did not sleep at night, was periodically on the verge of a nervous breakdown. All her thoughts were occupied only by this man and his cheating. Gradually, and friends left her, because she could not talk about anything but the events of his personal Mexican series. And for hobbies and self-development was neither strength nor desire, when this man still left Alla to another younger and fresher girl, to drink the life force and from her. Anna just dropped her hands. No matter how she thought over her future fate, in any variant it turned out that she was far behind people of her own age. On realization, achievements, well-being, and this tormented her the most. I too, like everyone else, just wanted to be happy. But why did I get this unlucky combination in the lottery of life? To all this was added an unbearable desire to write and call her former lover. It caused to myself outbursts of aggression, guilt, contempt, and helplessness. The illusion of universal well-being. Anna compared her history with people whose fates were completely different from her fate. Moreover, she ignored all the diversity of fates and coincidence of circumstances. In her picture of the world, there were only some other well-off people who had managed to do everything they should have done by Anna's age, and herself, who had managed to do nothing naturally. In such a frame she seemed to herself a complete failure, and all efforts to improve anything looked insignificant and worthless. To break this illusion, I asked my client to collect various women's stories from acquaintances, TV programs, and internet forums. The purpose of this task was for Anna to see that her way of comparing herself and others was not initially ecological. She found about 10 different women's life stories and was greatly struck by how many more there were and how different they all were. I also asked Anna to look at the biographies of famous women who seemed to have achieved the best of everything. Anna was surprised to realize that the fates of famous women were no smoother and cloudless than hers, and even on the contrary, often much more tragic. I asked to find stories of women with similar problems, where many of them managed to significantly improve their lives, despite the same loser's ticket as hers. The scale of self-development and success in terms of family patterns. The client was asked to describe briefly the stories of her family members: parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters. This was to show her in which areas the patterns of her family system had sagged badly, leading to this eventual development. Anna's mother, grandmother and sisters were also unhappy in their personal lives to varying degrees. They all had a common idea. The meaning of life is to serve the man they love. If a man wants to leave, he must be kept. Alla's story in the lives of her female relatives, repeated one-to-one, this made her realize that if her achievements in life can be compared with someone else's, it is only with members of her own family. After all, that was the only way the comparison would be more or less fair. It also allowed her to quickly identify key pain points in Anna's personality structure that she had inherited from her family. The most glaring ones were highlighted: the conviction that the value of love in men is greater than one's own worth, the belief that she's a failure if things don't work out with a man, the desire to direct all the strength and resources to maintain a relationship with a man, even if they are practically falling apart. The search for self-reliance, the cultivation of the inner parent. I asked Anna to tell me how she supports herself in difficult times. Turns out she doesn't know how to do that at all. She has two states of mind: sacrificial self-pity and uncontrollable anger at herself and her own stupidity, inferiority. I suggested that the client perform the baby photo exercise to show that she herself already has a model of a healthy, loving parent. She just needs to activate it as often as possible and in relation to herself. Anna received a model of proper support. Her task was to monitor her reactions to her own failures and support herself in an ecological way. A strong resistance emerged. Even after the baby photo exercise, she still did not understand how she could forgive herself for all her mistakes. She realized that she would have scolded that child in the photo if she had been his mother. in exactly the same words as she would have scolded herself. They were too much in line with this pattern of behavior in similar situations. I suggested we do a precious miracle exercise. At first, she had a hard time accepting that her parents' attitudes toward her defined not herself, but only them. It was hard for her to accept that she could have been born into a family for whom she would have been a real treasure, and they would have reacted completely differently to all her missteps. But gradually the disbelief melted away. Finally, Anna gave herself permission to think that she was truly valuable. Searching for new meanings together with her, we drew up a rough map of her needs, where the degree of her emotional deficits and urges was marked according to her feelings and balanced. On the basis of this data, we made a list of experiments that Anna had to conduct in order to understand what she might be interested in besides a relationship with them, and it turned out that she enjoyed socializing with animals and children. She visited a horse farm, went with her niece to a children's master class. Alla also enjoyed a rock climbing lesson and vines jumping. The client had to fill her free time with activities that filled her with the right emotions and were not related to romantic relationships. Anna had a few rabbits, decided to take her niece to various children's activities several times a month, and enrolled in an adult rock climbing class. I offered her tools for self-reflection, which she successfully mastered during therapy. Gradually, Anna and I managed to equalize her emotional background. After that, it was possible to build a concrete strategy. The girl came to the conclusion that she had not seen much of life. Therefore, she gave herself a year just to get acquainted with the world, with herself, and with other people. A man took up so much space in her life that without him, time, energy, and space turned out to be very much. After a year, Anna had to make up her mind about what kind of training she should choose in order to realize her potential. But for now, she rightly decided that compared to those terrible years, this year of uncertainty was nothing. Especially because during this year, Anna will get to know herself better and realize what she really wants from herself and life. In addition, during this year, Anna's emotional deficit should have decreased a lot. It would be much easier for her to learn new things and endure the inevitable failures with self-love. And that was something she had to learn. The baby picture exercise. One of the most important tasks of parents is to reflect the child, to show him what he is like. The problem is that not all parents are not able to adequately see their child and understand. He is like this by himself, and compared to me, he is completely different. But comparison with me is unacceptable. I am a separate person. Therefore, if it seems to me that something is wrong with him because I was not like that, it is not his problem. It seems to me so. You have to be a very conscious person to think like that. Usually parents just tell their child, "You're too loud," or "You're stupid," "You're nothing but trouble." This puts an indelible imprint on a person's self-worth. In the eyes of the parent, he's not like that. He lives his life as not so. This is perfectly illustrated by Alla's story. The task of this exercise is to remove the charms of parental curses and see yourself without their filters. You need to take your childhood photo and look at it carefully. You can even try to tell the child in this photo everything that the parents said. Usually there is a feeling of injustice, resentment, protest. This child doesn't deserve all those bitter words. The second part of the exercise is to find other, more appropriate words for this child, even if they are words that imply an educational moment. The precious miracle exercise. Unfortunately, many parents take their children for granted, and sometimes and as a burden. This is very sad. And it also negatively affects self-value. A person gets used to thinking of himself as something unimportant and unnecessary, and lives in such a state. Of course, this state is painful. Every living being wants to be valuable and important, to be loved. But in people with disturbed self-value, the need for love takes on monstrous proportions. Love itself takes on painfully perverted forms. As in Anna's story, one can reduce the feeling of total lack of love and wean oneself from expecting unearthly love from ordinary people by regular precious miracle meditation. In the fairy tale Thumbelina, a woman wanted a daughter so badly that she even went to a witch for help. The latter gave her a magic tree from which a tiny girl, Thumbelina, was born. It was a real miracle. This woman realized very well the value of this child's life because she could not have children for a long time, and because she risked her life by asking the witch for help. She did not allow herself to even think of showing coldness or neglect towards the girl. Her every action was filled with love and gratitude for this miracle in her life. The point of the exercise is to periodically visualize yourself. Here is the same wonderful, desirable child at the wise and grateful parents. It does not matter what these pictures will be: family games, conversations, joint activities. The main thing is that everything in them breathed love of parents to the child. Let it be very cozy, safe, sweet pictures of life from childhood. These pictures can be fictional from beginning to end. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that they heal our inner parent, who just happens to be very hard on us in moments of life's failures. This exercise trains our inner parent to be more tolerant and loving. And this exercise greatly reduces the feeling of a hole in the chest, the feeling of total lack of someone's love. These two exercises were the starting point for the client in his endeavor to first create the desired image of himself and get in touch with his ego states capable of accepting both his unified and whole self and his parents. This case is from 3 years ago. Anna has already married, had a child, and is happy in her marriage. She completed her therapy by working through child-parent scenarios with the help of transactional analysis. Dear viewers of our channel, thank you for being with us and watching this video. We hope that the information was useful and helped you better understand how to cope with anxiety and fears. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, put likes and leave comments. We value your opinion. See you soon and take care of yourself.